time for joy, a time for tears, a time we'll treasure through the years. We'll remember always graduation day.
We were on our way to Buffalo, New York, but we signed with this one company, and they gave us a name, and we heard it on the radio that we were now called the Rover Boys. We're going into Buffalo, New York. And so the moniker stuck, and so that we became the Rover Boys from that day on. As far as our recordings are concerned, only one really hit the top mark, which was Graduation Day, and that was in 1956. Was the big record. And we played with wonderful things that happened in that time period, because we opened the show for Tony Bennett in Atlantic City. We played. We did many television shows at that time as well, which was like American Bandstand. And at American Bandstand, I think Bobby Darin was also on the bill with us at that time. I think our biggest excitement was really to play Radio City Music Hall. We went to Paris with a show called La Parisienne that was going to be playing in Vegas, and we were rehearsing it with Michel Legrand.
I'm so young and you're so old. This, my darling, I've been told.
And you know, we helped discover Paul Anka.
And I remember going over to his home one night because he wanted to show us some of his songs. And he went to the piano, and he's banging away on the piano, and he says, "I'm so young and you're so old." And we said, "How can we sing I'm so young and you're so old?"
And we listened to the lyrics of the song, "I'm so young and you're so old," and I turned to Al and I said, "Is he kidding?" And so, you know, we'd do shows at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we never couldn't get up early because we had been out so late. And he found out where we were staying, and he'd knock on our door at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he'd say, "Good morning, are you up? This is Paul, I have coffee and orange juice for you." And oh, Lord, it was like, he did that many mornings. But anyway, he finally came, his father gave him what I believe was $1,000 to go to New York to see how he could make his mark in the business. So he came to New York, and we with ABC Paramount Records at the time, and one of the other boys in our group took him to see the artist and repertoire man, Don Costa. Took Paul, because Paul was interested in just selling his songs and having other people record them. So Don Costa had Paul sing the song, and he didn't think "I'm so young and you're so old" was a stupid lyric. So he had Paul record it, and that was Paul's big hit record. Mm-hmm.
Some of these days you'll be so lonely. Some of these days you'll miss me, honey.
What was interesting with Sophie is that during the day, she would have people coming one after the other to ask for donations. They were from the Catholic churches, they were from the Jewish organizations, they were from the Arab organizations. No matter what, she always had time to spend with them, time to give them a little bit of something, or sometimes a lot of something, and then also to sell her book.
She used to have an old schmata of a house dress on, and her hair would all be in curlers. She'd look nothing like the person who's going to walk on stage that night. Because when she walked on stage, she was the most polished version of a person that you'd ever find. You know, she had necklaces, diamond necklaces, and tiara, and she was a terrific lady anyway. And I remember we worked Montreal. We were in a club in Montreal one time, and she was working in another club in Montreal. And during that time, we decided we were going to go to where she was working to say hi to her. And she would always sign autographs at the end of every show. She'd sit in the lobby of wherever she was working, sign autographs.
To raise money for her charity.
To raise money for her charities, yes. And so the four of us walked in, and she stopped everything. She looked up and she said, "My boys!"
I wrote the school song, but I stole this tune from an old Hebrew song. So instead of, I think the song went, Ani ve'at, at ve'ani, chaverim be'Yehuda hatzoir, and it became, with swelling hearts and glowing pride, we rally to our old school side, shouting our colors with spirit bold, never forget our wine and gold. So it was kind of funny to hear all of the kids singing Hebrew songs.
I can tell you a story about Al before the Rover Boys that he may remember. I hope he does. I can't remember the name of the music. I think we were doing a show called Boy Crazy, which was produced by Alwyn Preston Scott here, which was a George Gershwin ripoff, sort of like Crazy for You.
Yeah, exactly.
Gershwin music, but a different story. Al was the romantic lead, and he sang, and for some reason I can't remember why, he had sideburns, makeup added sideburns, and in the opening night of the show, he and the girl romantic lead sang a love song and embraced at the end of it. And when they came away from the embrace, his right hand sideburn was on her left hand cheek, and she had to perform that way the rest of the scene.
When he got out of show business, things were tough for a while, and then they happened upon Weight Watchers. And again, he took a risk. He took a huge risk, and it was enormously successful.
Well, my good friend Betty Victor was from New York, and he would go home every year, and he was quite chubby, and he would go home and try out the new things that are happening in New York. And at that time, Weight Watchers had become a big thing in New York City, and so we wrote to find out whether we could bring it to Canada. And so I was working for New York Life at that time, and they sent me to New York, of all things. And when I got to New York, it was only going to be a 2-day thing, but I told them I got the measles and I had to stay in New York as an excuse. And we met Jean Nidich, and we spoke about bring it to Canada. She says, certainly, just come here and learn how to handle it, and we'll give you a franchise.
I also remember the first meeting they had of Weight Watchers in Edmonton at the Masonic Temple in August of 1967. And that first meeting, my mother, Della Osten, my Aunt Minnie Emus, and I all helped register people. And we had no idea whether or not anybody would come. But the people just kept pouring in, and it was an absolutely packed room. Al was weighing everybody, Buddy was talking and was doing the class, and it was a huge success.
When I turned 83, I thought, my father had a bar mitzvah many years ago when he turned 83, and I thought this would be a good opportunity with the temple. A lot of people don't know about second bar mitzvahs at all, but it really is because a man's life is supposed to be 70. I think that was so it was 60 and plus 10 years. And then add 13 years on top of that, and that makes you a bar mitzvah boy again. And so I thought that this was the time to tell the public about this as well, because other people should follow and do it, because it is a great feeling. And I felt to be on the bima and to have the Torah in front of me and actually read my lines from the Torah made me feel very, very good. I must tell you, my family is so excited about me being the recipient for the JNF thing. They're just over the moon. And now their little baby brother is being honored. And they seem to think that it should have happened a long time ago. I said, why?